Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, July 15th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Quite a bit to get to today. We're bombing Iran right now. We already pulled off a earlier bombing mission. Now we're bombing them again. We got all those details about Iran war. Day number 137. Strait of Hormuz is essentially closed, according to Iran. We're going to take a look at all these details. Iran's reporting we've killed civilians. Iran has retaliated against our bases. We're going to go over those details for you today. We got a little bit of public health news. There's massive fires out of Canada. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at ICE. We're not getting mass deportations, but ICE is shooting quite a few people. 17 ICE has shot 17 motorists under the Trump administration. Take a look at that report. We have a whole lot of economic news. A bunch more of this data center surveillance center news. We got Todd Blanche confirmation. There's a bunch of confirmation hearings going on today. CDC, Todd Blanche, Attorney General, and the new, Director of National Intelligence. All these different type of hearings are going on today, trying to get these criminals in place. We have a bunch of geopolitical news, as per usual, and the demolition and leveling of Lebanon and Gaza continues as well. We have some updates there. Thank you for joining us. I see a few people coming online right now. Shout out to Ruckus Mac on the YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully we can have Ruckus on tomorrow if he's available. All right, let's get to this day in history and get to all this insanity. On this day in our history of July 15th, we go back to the year 1099. On this day in 1099, city of Jerusalem is captured and plundered by Christian forces during the First Crusade. On this day in 1205, Pope Innocent III states that aardvarks are doomed to perpetual servitude and subjugation due to the crucifixion of Jesus. I thought that was just a conspiracy theory. I guess old Pope Innocent III, all the way in 1205, is a big antiseptic hater. 1381, on this day, John Ball, and I know a buddy of mine actually. His name's John Ball. Good guy. Anyway, on this day in 1381, John Ball, a leader in the Peasants' Revolt, is hanged, drawn, and quartered in the presence of Richard II, King of England. 1799, on this day, the Rosetta Stone is found in the Egyptian village of Rosetta by French captain Pierre Francisco Bouchard during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. 1904, I'll show you the picture. Here's the Rosetta Stone. There's a picture of the Rosetta Stone. found by Napoleon's troops there, as we just explained. 1904, on this day, we saw the first Buddhist temple first Buddhist temple in the United States forms in Los Angeles, California. We do love our religious freedom here in America, especially California. I hope Fat Bob's listening out there. He said he was going to have to go about other duties, but if you're out there listening, give a shout out to Scientology out of Los Angeles. Fat Bob for us. Thank you very much for that. On this day in 1914, then Mexican president Victorino Huerta flees Mexico with 2 million pesos to Europe. What is that, like $5? I don't even know what was the 2 million pesos valued at in 1914, but yeah. 1915, on this day, the head of German propaganda in the United States, Dr. Heinrich Albert, loses his briefcase, we're told, on a New York City subway. An examination of its contents reveals extensive network of German espionage and subversion across America. On this day in 1916, Boeing Company was founded. The Pacific Aero Products Company, later renamed Boeing Company, is formed by William Boeing in Seattle, Washington. 1922, on this day, we saw the first duck-billed platypus publicly exhibited in the United States at the Bronx Zoological Park in New York City. I remember as a child, I was always like, wow, what an amazing creature the duck-billed platypus is. I was always a big fan of duck-billed platypus as a child. 1958, on this day, then U.S. President Eisenhower sends U.S. troops to Lebanon. Sound familiar? Where they remain for 3 months. We have U.S. troops in Lebanon right now. Isn't it so wonderful? 1980, on this day, Billy Carter, the brother of then U.S. President Jimmy Carter, registers as a foreign agent of the Libyan government after it was revealed they paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our entire government are traitors. They should all be foreign agents, just about all of them. Just about all of them at this point. 1987, on this day, John Poindexter testifies at Iran-Contra hearings. 1994, on this day, the Rwandan genocide. Hundreds of thousands of juntas flee to Zaire in the Congo near the end of the Rwandan genocide. And if you guys haven't looked into that, that's some crazy, creepy, mad scientist, military-industrial complex scientific dictatorship stuff going on there. Hardcore mind control that resulted in the Rwandan genocide. 2002 on this date, quote, American Taliban John Walker Lindholm pleads guilty to supplying aid to the enemy and to the possession of explosives during the commission of a felony. Should have just went to work for the government and he could have helped out the Taliban, right? Sure. And on this day, the next year, 2003, AOL Time Warner disbands Netscape Communications Corporation, and the Mozilla Foundation is founded on the same day. On this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1940. War preparations threaten civil liberties, says the ACLU. An ACLU report in the Shadow of War, released on this day, warned that preparations for war which had already broken out in Europe and Asia, were threatening American civil liberties. No such critical situation has confronted democratic liberties since World War I, the ACLU charged. Propaganda against fifth columnists, it said, had encouraged intolerance against alienists, German American Bund members, and communists. Across the country, mob violence had been directed against the Jehovah's Witnesses. The ACLU also deplored then President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, September 1939 order that the FBI investigate subversive activities. The ACLU report, however, did not anticipate the greatest violation of civil liberties in World War II, President Roosevelt's order on February 19th, 1942, to evacuate all Japanese Americans from the West Coast following the attack on Pearl Harbor and put them in internment camps. On this day in our civil liberties history, 1977, CIA director admits documents on secret drug experiments were destroyed. CIA director Stansfield Turner on this day publicly admitted to the existence of the MK Ultra program, a secret program of experiments in mind control, usually without the informed consent of the subjects in the experiments. Turner also confirmed the reports that documents from the program had previously been destroyed. The MK Ultra program, which began officially on April 13, 1953, caused enormous controversy when it was finally exposed, in large part because some people were subjects of experiments without their consent. Informed consent is a conspiracy theory, we're now told by public health, right? Sure. Some of the experiments involved giving subjects LSD. We've covered it a lot here at Weaponized News. In 1973, then CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MK Ultra files destroyed, although about 2,000 documents survived because they were filed as financial documents. At least 44 colleges and universities and 15 private foundations and pharmaceutical companies participated in the secret CIA drug experiments. In addition to the CIA drug experiments, revelations of drug experiments conducted by respected scientists on subjects without informed consent led to major reforms on the ethical standards for science research on human subjects, including the Belmont Report on September 30th, 1978. And then a bat flew around and we threw all of that out the window. All right, here's our segue to the news here. Trump just openly bragging about he's going to commit war crimes against the Iranians. It's a war crime to bomb civilian public infrastructure.
I don't like giving deadlines, but they pretty much know. They know the story. Sorry, they better behave. Mr. President, are you giving a lot of deadlines
before you start bombing? It's quite horrific. Quite horrific. When we hit them, we hit them. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. This is Trump at NATO. Department of War posted it today.
And war has been a tremendous military success. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. They have no military left. Their air force is gone. Their ships are gone. 159 ships are gone. They're at the bottom of the sea. We have a lot better equipment than they did.
At the direction of President Trump, the War Department will ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon.
What a load of bullshit. We blew up their whole military. We're still bombing them right now as I speak. Two major bombing missions announced today by U.S. Central Command. The first one announced at 6 a.m. Eastern Time today. U.S. Central Command forces began launching a wave of strikes against Iran. The strikes are designed to further degrade military capabilities Iranian forces have used to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, according to U.S. Central Command. I thought we blew it all up, according to the Department of War video we just watched, according to Trump. Turns out not so much. U.S. strikes Iran Island as renewed naval blockade takes effect. U.S. Central Command said it carried out a 90-minute wave of strikes against Iran this morning, targeting coastal defense systems and cruise missile storage and launch sites on Greater Toomb Island. CENTCOM said the attacks began at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. We covered that, and were intended to weaken Iran's ability to target commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, it says in the Constitution, we're mandated to be the police of the Strait of Hormuz. Sure, it does, right? The command also said U.S. forces redirected two commercial vessels attempting to break the renewed blockade of Iranian ports during the first 17 hours. Here's a little map to remind everybody. Strait of Hormuz, not straight. I know it's a geographical term. It's a joke. Anyway, Strait of Hormuz, not straight, and we're bombing the hell out of all this area right here. Their deep water port, I saw in one report. Maybe we'll get to that. And then ongoing bombing here. Now, that was the first bombing campaign today. The second bombing campaign today, announced by U.S. Central Command at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. U.S. forces launched operations for a second wave of strikes against Iran. These strikes are targeting Iranian military capabilities used to threaten vessels freely transiting through Strait of Hormuz, an international waterway vital to global commerce. The U.S. military is holding Iran accountable at the commander-in-chief's direction. U.S. Central Command says since restarting the naval blockade against Iranian ports 17 hours ago, this was this morning today, Eastern Time, they posted this, U.S. forces have redirected two commercial vessels attempting to run the blockade. The U.S. military remains vigilant and prepared to ensure full compliance. U.S. Central Command fact-checking's back. We missed it. We missed it for a few weeks. Fact check on Iran. Claim. Iranian state media claims the U.S. forces struck a civilian wheat storage facility in Havizai. I pardon my Iranian there for the pronouncement. On July 14th, yesterday. This is false. On July 14th, U.S. forces hit Iranian military targets at Bandar Abbas, and they go through and list all those. I'm not even going to attempt to read them. You can see right here all the different targets to degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran has targeted innocent civilians transiting the strait and in neighboring Gulf countries. Iran's all bad. We're all good. Got it. Get it. Good. Fact check by U.S. Central Command. U.S. attacks hit vicinity of Children's Cancer Hospital in Iran's Ahvaz. Evacuation ordered. Attack reported near Shahid Baghdadi Hospital in Ahvaz, prompting the facility to begin an immediate temporary evacuation. The hospital treats children suffering from cancer, and anxious parents have reportedly gathered in the surrounding streets in an effort to protect their children. That's reported out of Mer News. U.S. attacks on southern Iran kill more than 30 civilians. At least 30 civilians have been killed in recent U.S. attacks on southern Iran. Government spokeswoman Mahajirani said in a post on X, extending condolences to victims' families and pledging that the government would support those affected with all available resources. These little drones we're going to talk more about in the economic section of the show. But here's IRGC unveils new series of small kamikaze drones, claims they were used in tonight's attack on Kuwait. They bombed the hell out of our base there in Kuwait with these little drones, they say. The IRGC's Aerospace Drone Command says the new suicide drones are small but effective and designed for multiple operational purposes. The attack was dedicated to the memory of Khalid, and Iraqi national the IRGC claims was recently assassinated by the Kuwaiti government. Here's these drones, the newest ones, suicide attack drones. And to give you some scale on it, you can see that tape right there. And so these are pretty little drones, right? These are about the size of those bats that shut down the world. Very small drones there. Very small indeed. And very inexpensive as well. Wreckage of US FLM-136 Lucas kamikaze drone recovered near Iran's Bandar Abbas port. The Lucas is essentially the American equivalent of Iran's Shahid 136 drone, a low-cost one-way attack drone. Here's that drone. You can see right there. And I do appreciate the overspray there on the stencil they used on the tail there. You can see the overspray on the paint job. Very good, very good. I guess it doesn't really matter because you're going to blow the thing up anyway, but have some pride in your craftsmanship painting these things. Just saying. Bunch of overspray there. Okay, continuing. Iran destroys main logistics and support center for U.S. military in West Asia. Tassim News publishes satellite images showing the completely destroyed KGL warehouse complex in Kuwait. Show you that. It's a short clip here. Allegedly, all this is allegedly because we can't trust those damn Iranians any better than we can trust our own government. Claiming they whacked our main logistics and support center there in Kuwait, is the claim by Iran. Let's end these wars. Let's just stop it. Let's just stop it. Our veterans deserve the best possible care, and thanks to President Trump, we're doing just that. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins post. Not a good look. Not a good look. There's a U.S. veteran with no leg and no arm. How about let's stop all of these illegal foreign wars of aggression? Secretary Collins on implementing the order to accelerate treatment for serious mental illness. How about stop destroying these soldiers' minds with never-ending war and sending them back home with PTSD? How about that? But they're going to experiment on these soldiers now, MK Ultra style, I'm sure, transhumanist style. They like them with no arms and no legs because then they can hook them up to the robotics, you see. It's all so tragic and so damn evil as well. Central Tehran billboard depicts Trump in a coffin. Here's that image. Trump in a coffin on a billboard there in Central Tehran. You can see right there. Kill Trump, it says in English. Moving on here. During U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland late last month, talking for the MOU routine that we covered here, Iranian negotiators sent a private message to Mr. Technocracy, VP Vance, through an intermediary. The Iranians warned Vance that the continued presence of Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, would undermine the chance of turning the June 17th framework into an enduring peace deal, a senior Iranian official told DropSite News. In the private message, according to the Iranian official, Iran conveyed to Vance that the pair were more interested in exploiting insider knowledge of the negotiations to profit in the financial markets than they were in reaching a peace deal, you think? Because they were sent there to start a war and profiteer off of it, which should be more than obvious to anybody. The Iranians are pointing it out here in this DropSite article. Continuing, Iranian negotiators also expressed concern about repeated leaks from Kushner to Shadow President of America, Milei, out of Aardvark land, not to confuse anybody with the coded language. A U.S. official told Axios, a Aardvark propaganda outfit that should probably be registered as a foreign agent, I added that part, that since the negotiations began, Witkoff and Kushner talk almost every day to Milei, Shadow President of America, and the head of Mossad. In the weeks leading up to the signing of the MOU, the official said Iran presented written documentation to mediators of what it characterized as evidence that individuals close to Trump were abusing the Iran war and diplomatic developments to manipulate financial markets. Even before the Islamabad talks kicked off in April, we already sent multiple messages to Trump through the Pakistanis, warning them about Witkoff's overall destructive role in the previous negotiations. It was self-evident. Oh, we're going to go negotiate a peace deal, and then boom, war, right? Remember the first time it kicked off, it was Oman. I remember Oman, dude. It was on a Friday, and Oman dude was the mediator, and he's like, yeah, everything's going great. And then a couple hours later, oh yeah, by the way, we're bombing the hell out of Iran. Great job there with the peace negotiations by Kushner and Witkoff. Obviously, their goal was to start a war and profiteer off of it. The outreach to Vance came after these initial efforts to raise Tehran's concerns about Witkoff and Kushner within the White House, the official said, given that messages passed to mediators are delivered broadly to the full U.S. team, including Kushner, who is a private citizen with no official government role, we transmitted data and assessments through an exclusive channel to Mr. Vance, said the senior Iranian official who has direct knowledge of the effort. Iranian negotiators, he said, communicated to Vance that they believe Witkoff and Kushner were abusing the diplomatic process, effectively disrupting the overall negotiating atmosphere. Iran has formally demanded a cut of the billions, it says, people close to President Trump made by manipulating financial markets tied to the Iran war, a senior Iranian official tells Dropsite News. They're all a bunch of gangsters is all it is. Profiteering of death, destruction, and the like. And grinding up you and I, Joe Blow American, Joe Blow Iranian, in this meat grinder and profiteering off of it handsomely. Tehran calculated the profits from the alleged manipulation across oil futures, energy stocks, and prediction markets had reached $9 billion and put its demand in writing to mediators. We have conveyed through intermediaries that $4.5 billion of this sum should be allocated to the Iranian side. The exchange texts will ultimately become part of the historical record, the Iranian official added. They're putting it on the record that these war criminals, including Trump, are profiteering off of killing people. Who is this out of Washington Compost, I believe? Is that Washington Compost? I think it is, or New York Times. Anyhow, one of the big mockingbirds. Oh no, it's Wall Street Journal. Excuse me. Wall Street Journal reported earlier today, Trump is leaning toward expanding U.S. military operations in Iran, including ground troops and bombing a covert nuclear site. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump held a Situation Room meeting yesterday to discuss 3 escalatory options: seizing Kareg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, using U.S. troops, bombing Pickaxe Mountain, a deeply fortified tunnel complex linked to nuclear work that the U.S. hasn't yet targeted, expanding airstrikes to include energy sites. Trump hasn't made a final decision yet on Pickaxe Mountain. The tunnels sit 300 to 475 feet deep in granite, potentially beyond the reach of U.S. bunker buster bombs. And don't forget, when we're deploying troops, boots on the ground all over the place, the end of this year, Selective Service is set to automatically register every American for the draft, for the U.S. military draft, automatically register them. Don't forget that is going to come to pass in about another 5 months here. Okay, we'll come back to more Iran reporting at the end of the show when we get into the geopolitical section, West Asia genocide section, I guess you could call it at this point. Now on to, from the Duke report, he found this in his great research. Peter Duke report, the Duke report. We've interviewed him a few times. He does great work. This is the logo for the Foreign Affairs magazine of the Council on Foreign Relations, they want you to think Baal, B-A-A-L, looks like a demon. He's the naked rider on the logo for Foreign Affairs magazine. He's everywhere. Ubiquitous, essentially. And he says hashtag Melkert, hashtag Phoenician. So that's actually Baal. And Peter Duke just did a great report breaking all this down. I'll link to it on Weaponized News Substack channel. The American Ballroom, here it is on Peter Duke's Substack channel. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I listened to about the first hour, and I'm going to follow up and listen. It's it's 1 hour, 49 minutes. I'm going to go back and listen to the last hour, but very revealing, deep research on the occult. What is going on? What are all these weird Roman Greek statues and the like? He does a deep dive and breaks a little bit of it down. And so, again, I'll link to it for those interested at Weaponized News Substack channel. Everybody go give the Duke Report a follow. Continuing here, AIPAC is in panic mode, Shadow of Ezra posts on the X, after launching a new ad targeting Thomas Massie as he pushed to end billions of dollars in U.S. aid to Aardvarkland. AIPAC admits that cutting the funding would weaken Aardvarkland. That investment is under attack. Cut off all funding to Aardvarkland immediately. Let's watch this ad from AIPAC, the rulers of America.
The House is voting soon on $3.3 billion in annual security assistance to Israel. Representative.
I just got to point out the 3.3, right? They don't miss a beat. 33 columns, Illuminati columns, 33.
Thomas Massie has introduced an amendment to eliminate this funding. The United States provides security assistance to Israel because it protects American interests. In one of the world's most volatile regions, Israel is on the front lines, sharing intelligence and confronting terrorist threats that endanger America and our allies. U.S. assistance to Israel accounts for just 0.05% of the federal budget and delivers real economic and strategic benefits for America. But that investment is under attack. Cutting this aid would weaken the key ally and partner and undermine America's security and influence. Tell your member of Congress, oppose the Thomas Massie Amendment. Protect assistance to Israel because it strengthens America.
And AIPAC's not registered as a foreign agent. They should be. So Massie's amendment to cut all U.S. taxpayer military aid to Aardvarkland, $3.3 billion, lost big in the House, 314 to 104 in a vote held earlier today. You can see right there, more Democrats, 112 either didn't vote for or voted no, 98, or present, 10 on cutting all aid to Aardvarkland. Then Democrats, 103 that voted yes. That said, it is a seismic shift in U.S. foreign policy. 48% of the Democrat caucus, Massie was the lone Republican, yes. So Republicans are going to lose in the midterms because of the economy and their undying support for genocide here now. And you could see, as disingenuous and as criminal as the Democrats are, they're smart enough to know which way the wind's blowing, if you get my drift. And I don't give a damn if you kill 1 million Palestinians either. But again, they're smart enough to know which way the wind's blowing. Unlike the sold out, corrupt foreign agent Republicans. Post by Richard Grove here now. He says Larry Ellison, largest private donor to the IDF, picked up American politician free agents around circa 2014 in preparation for what's happening now. His number one pick, little Marco Rubio, now Secretary of State. His number two pick, Rand Paul, and he just got paid off. Sad to say, Rand Paul is no Ron Paul like his father. Sad to say here now. For non-elected rulers, it's a game. Collect them all. Here's the list of all 50 treasonous Republican senators, including Rand Paul, who voted yes on merging America or Vartland military. They should all register as foreign agents. There you go. Cucked out, sold out, corrupt Republican senators right there. The most disappointing of all, of course, Rand Paul. And of course, the merger of our militaries with our Vartland, part of the 2027 NDAA. It was blocked procedurally yesterday. I believe they're going to keep fighting for it, so we'll keep covering it as it develops here now. Here's Trump on the bats. I'll never forgive any of them for the bat times. Neither should you.
Greatest economy in the history of our country in my first term. We then got hit with COVID, but even including COVID, we did a great job in COVID. We never got credit for it, but every country was ripped apart by that disaster. We know where it came from. It came from Wuhan, and I said that, but we were all ripped apart, and China got hit very, very hard. It was delayed. They got hit very hard at the end.
Really? America says China did it, Wuhan. China says America did it, Fort Detrick. Take your pick. Probably working together, obviously, Operation Lockstep. Working together at the top levels. America, China, and the bats. Never forgive any of them for this, for what they've done here now. CDC Director nominee, Dr. Erica Schwartz, a black woman. We'll play the video here. Restoring trust to the CDC is my number one priority. Yeah, never trust the CDC ever.
Restoring trust to the CDC is my number one priority. And I look at it in three ways. The first thing that we must do, is to go where the science leads us, no matter what. Scientific integrity is core.
Well, you take some science and shove it up your bat. Mayo Clinic is being sued by its former AI compliance lead, who is alleging the hospital network tried to hide its AI tool's 67% error rate at patients' expense. The lawsuit alleges staff deleted results and mischaracterized outcomes to cover up the AI tool's mistakes. So AI is so wonderful. You have to commit fraud. People probably died getting the wrong treatment, all this, because AI is saving us in Rockefeller medicine, no less. The former employee says Mayo fired her in retaliation when she tried to raise her concerns, as she should be fired. Obviously. Very concerning. ARPA-H. ARPA-H put out a post on the X. They say ARPA-H is proud to be part of HHS and Department of Veterans Affairs. They're experimenting on the veterans, as we would expect, on disabled veterans. Effort to bring safe and effective mental and behavioral health treatments to those who need it most. How about we stop sending them over killing people in illegal foreign wars of aggression? Do we need giant departments to come up with that idea? No. Pretty easy, actually. But we'll continue down this path of destroying our soldiers and then saying, thank you for your service. So fake. It makes me mad. I can't start going off right now, but just thinking about it, it really pisses me off how fake all this is. And Lindsey Graham was a great peacenik too. And Mitch McConnell's in great health. And this U.S. government cares about our soldiers. More public health news now out of France. France's lower house of parliament adopts final text of landmark right to die law. So everything's so wonderful. They're lining you up right to die. Report out of France 24. France's National Assembly earlier today adopted a bill that will create a legal right to assisted dying for adults with incurable illnesses, capping years of intense ethical and political debate. France President Macron, who promised such a law during his re-election campaign, hailed lawmakers' respectful debate on the issue. They already have MAID program. They're out of Canada. We've reported on. They have physician-assisted suicide here in California as well. And so this is a rapidly growing global trend of physician-assisted suicide. And they claim it's a great right. Breathe deep, my friends, because there's wildfire smoke in the air. Not where I'm at. We went through this. They already burned down our forest, the Sierra Nevada, where I'm at. Now it's moved north to Canada this year. Wildfire smoke is filling the skies. Be careful out there, Snow, if you're listening. This is in Snow's pathway here. They put a little map on the Washington Compost so we could see here. Wildfire smoke is filling the skies. See where air quality conditions may be worse. Around 1 million people in the United States may face unhealthy air quality. Do they even say wear a mask? I don't even know if public health is saying it. You probably should wear a mask for this, not for some invisible bug, invisible bat, but yeah, this is very bad air quality. You could see right there, all through there. Lowest air quality levels. Let's see a little up closer on this map. Yeah, hazardous in the maroon color there. Giant wildfires raging. You can see right here, large and out of control wildfires in Canada. And this was as of yesterday. You can see all the different spots there on the map. Quite horrific. As fire season looms, tech startups come calling in DC. Of course they are, because they're always looking to profiteer off of disasters and tragedy. Wildfire smoke blankets Toronto, turning skies orange and prompting air quality warnings. On to this story now. We're not getting mass deportations, but we are getting ICE shooting 17 motorists here now. Report out of the Washington Compost. We looked at DHS immigration enforcement involving motorists. Here's what we found. At least 17 motorists have been shot during the immigration operations as the Trump administration ramped up enforcement. And so we're not getting mass deportations, but they are shooting people. And I guess that's all we can expect. Remember, they took away education requirements and age requirements, recruiting thugs into the Department of Homeland Security, all for our own safety, of course. And so there's been 2 recent shootings in the last week in Texas and Maine. At least 17 shootings of motorists by federal ICE officers since the beginning of Trump's term nearly 18 months ago. A Washington Post analysis shows 6 people, including 2 U.S. citizens, have died in these shootings. At least did we kill any illegals? We're not even killing illegals. We're killing U.S. citizens. I guess we killed a couple of illegals. It's just quite insane, all of it. That one dude in Maine, he was a legal resident. I guess that's close enough to illegal, right? I mean, it's just like, what? This other guy in Texas what was his status? Let's see. He was from Mexico and did not have legal status. So there you go. We got this guy. At least we killed one illegal. Tragically enough. What was his name? Sal Gondo Arhigo, excuse my pronunciation. And yeah, rest in peace there, buddy. Very sad and tragic. And they go through the different events here. 17 shot by ICE. And they said no more traffic stops by ICE, i.e. no more internal shakedowns. Well, turns out Trump called that off today. A message to the patriots of ICE. The men and women of ICE are doing a great job, one that has to be done. Crime is way down in America in many cases with numbers that haven't been seen in decades. The open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden allowed, they're claiming here now, 25 million people to pour into the country unchecked, unvetted. Many were criminals, and we have to get them out. In order to do this, we must be strong, tough, and smart, and we cannot give up one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop, i.e. shakedowns. Once we do, we are playing right into the criminals' hands. The radical left Democrats would like to see this done, but it won't happen on my watch. ICE, be judicious, fair, and smart, and go back and do your very important job. Keep those crime stat records coming. Remember, you are loved and respected in America. President Donald Trump. We're not getting the mass deportations. If you're, and see that he does it here, even politically correct liar Donald Trump. If you're in this country illegally, you're breaking our immigration law. That makes you a criminal. And they won't even say it here. Now, we need the mass deportations. And again, they're very disingenuous here. No one, Mayorkas, former head of Department of Homeland Security, everybody else involved, there's a lot of people in the Biden administration. A lot are still in the federal government, nonprofits and NGOs that facilitated the human smuggling of 25 million illegal aliens into this country. It's even more than that. That's the claim number today, you see, posted by the White House. No one in any position of authority that allowed this to happen in the first place has or will be held accountable. But we have shot 17 in traffic stops, internal checkpoints here in America. Man fleeing immigration officers in Florida is struck and killed by a truck, a tractor trailer, a big rig, right? A 28-year-old, this is a report out of AP, a 28-year-old was among 4 occupants of a vehicle that stopped in the parking lot of a gas station and convenience store in St. Augustine, Florida area before 7 a.m. during an encounter with ICE agents and Homeland Security investigators. The 4 fled on foot, with one darting across a busy road into the path of a semi truck. Florida Highway Patrol Sergeant Bryant said in an email statement to the Associated Press. Well, there you go. They didn't even have to shoot him. They just ran him into traffic, got ran over and killed. Trump says ICE won't halt traffic stops after recent fatal shootings. Again, they're using this to create the strategy of tension here in America. They're using militarized federal ICE and DHS to go about doing this. We saw it writ large when they did the big surge in Minnesota. Department of Homeland Security posted this earlier today. They say our message to illegal aliens is clear: leave now. And using the CBP Home app, you can receive a check for $2,600. If you don't, we'll find you, arrest you, and deport you. No, they won't. No, they won't. But they're going to give illegal aliens. Where's our Doge refund? Where's our audit of Fort Knox? Where's all of these? Remember, we're going to get tariff money. They had to pay it all back. It was a legal scam fraud job by Trump and Howard Lutnick. Now we're giving illegal aliens $2,600. That's U.S. tax money to leave here now voluntarily. Where's my money for staying? I got to stay and put up with this bullshit. Amazing. On to, well, we're almost at the top of the hour. Let's take our live commercial break right now. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We covered a whole lot of news right there with limited ranting and raving from me in the first hour. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Wednesday. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a sticker over there. The links are in the description below this video, right down there. We got the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, the clear sticker, weaponizednews.com/shop. We have baseball caps, t-shirts, coffee mugs, shot glasses, as this show's known to induce heavy bouts of drinking, I'm told by some audience members. Weaponizednews.com/shop. If you don't want to patron the store, we take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. Links all in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber of Weaponized News Substack. We give away everything free, nothing behind a paywall. Support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Broadcasting live, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time. Weaponized News and all your major big tech channels. Become a paid subscriber. Support our efforts. Weaponized News Substack. Over there, we're streaming live on Substack now. You'll get the full show, a summary of the show, and links to almost everything we talk about on this show for documentation and further research purposes. Weaponized News Substack, donor links, and weaponizednews.com/shop. All the links are in the description below this video. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All of that is free for you in this horrific economy. Your support is much appreciated any which way you choose to do it. Thank you very much for your attention to that matter. And welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Wednesday, July 15th, 2026 edition. Let's jump right back into it to Technocracy News. Here's a cut from Aaron Day, James Corbett interview that Aaron Day posted. Let's watch this short clip. About Google made a video about shaping you. You were never meant to see. And they're talking about that here.
People to look at the Selfish Ledger, which was an internal Google video from several years ago. It's just, I think, 10 minutes long. And it goes through how, yes, even internally at Google, they are fully aware and fully operating on the principle that algorithms and things that are happening behind the scenes on these websites that you're visiting and these apps you're using are going to shape your life. And if they can do that to any one individual, they can shape your decisions so that you end up being this type of person or being that type of person or going in this direction or that direction. If they can do that individually to any one person, then they can do that to individually to each and every person. And once you start talking about shaping the entire human population like that, you talk about a type of control that has, I think, never even been envisioned by even the most dystopian of dystopian sci-fi writers in the past. And yes, I think we need to confront that idea. What is informed consent, and how is what we believe we are being shaped by algorithms that we don't even know exist? And I'll give an example of that, actually, even in my own case. How much of who I am today is authentically some perfect and untouched me, and how much is it I've been influenced and shaped by various things that have been put in front of me for my attention over the years? And I have a podcast episode on this subject specifically. It's called Pricking the Filter Bubble. And in that, I tell the story essentially about how I fell down the internet rabbit hole towards 9/11 truth and things like that. How I became the James Corbett of the Corbett Report, and how much of that was shaped by, for example, what YouTube was recommending me on the sidebar back in those early days of YouTube, before the algorithm even became a shadow of what it is today. It was still there, it was still operating, and it was sending.
I'll link to that, and everybody could link through and find the full episode for those interested at Weaponized News Substack. For me, honestly, it was a book. It wasn't the internet. It was a book. It was a David Icke book, Robots Rebellion, that a friend gave me, I want to say in about 2006. And then I did go to the internet, but I read the book first, is what started me questioning our reality, you could say. And so it's just corrupt beyond our imagination. These politicians don't represent us. The Midwesterner reports here now, executives for Google, NVIDIA, Oracle, DTE Energy, bankrolling Jocelyn Benson's gubernatorial campaign. Campaign finance reports reveal the Democrat candidates' extensive ties to folks heavily invested in the data center industry. You don't say. We've been playing the reports. The people go protest, they go say their piece, chew out the city council. The city council says, okay, guys, we can see you're against it. We're going to vote to not do it. They do. And then they secretly go back and change the vote and say, we don't care, because we're corrupt asshole politicians. And we've seen that in a couple places here now. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson has vowed to stand up to greedy corporations, like all good Democrats. But turns out, she said she's looking to stand up to greedy corporations looking to take advantage of our air and water with massive hyperscale data centers. But a review of financial contributions to her campaign reveals that she's got money from all these big tech donors in her bid running as governor for the state of Michigan. And they go through in this report and break it all down. It's all public there. So again, they just lie right to your face. Well, I care. Sure you do. Sure you do. Truck drivers are now taking down flock cameras in Ohio. Let's watch this report.
Authorities say since July 8th, flock safety cameras in the city of Ashland and Ashland County have been the targets of vandals. In some cases, the flock camera poles were hit by a car or truck, and in others, the equipment was struck by what authorities believe is a baseball bat or club. The victims of the vandalism are the taxpayers who pay for the cameras.
They're the public's cameras. You know, we've had some tax dollars that have been put to use for these things. I think overwhelmingly the general public would like to have a safe community, and these cameras are a piece of that.
The Ashland County
everyone wants a camera up their rear end. You are the product here now. None of this is for your safety. The government can't and won't keep you safe, but it can and will spy on you and sell your data to private parties to further exploit and social engineer you.
County Sheriff says the vandalism is part of a trend across the country, and he believes it is based on misinformation.
People have this perception that these cameras are out there tracking them all over the place and all this other nonsense, and that's simply not true. They take pictures of license plates, and then we read the license plates based on the data that we input.
That cop's either a liar or a moron, probably both. They're building out giant data sets, and it's not just your license plate.
If we're looking for a specific plate, we look for the plate. Or if there's a wanted person attached to it, or if there's a missing person attached to it, or somebody that's in harm's way, you know, we look for that data.
Investigators say, ironically, they are using the flock safety cameras in their effort to identify those who have been damaging the cameras.
So they leave from damaging our camera and drive by another one that maybe they didn't know about, or go to another county or whatever. So, you know, yes, I mean, it's very possible that flock cameras could help us catch the individuals responsible for damage on our own cameras.
Once the vandals are brought to justice, authorities intend to seek restitution to repair or replace the cameras that have a value of up to $3,500 per unit.
Now that they've been damaged and down, what are we missing? How many people are coming through that may have been missing or that have been wanted?
F you, dude. They want a police state. They want technocracy. It's not freedom. The government can't and won't keep you safe. The Trump administration is making America safe again. They tell us crushing crime. Crushing crime. Trump administration crime crackdown. Murders down 20% nationwide. Lowest level since 1900. That's a bold claim. Violent crime arrests up 114%. Nearly 5,000 child predators and traffickers taken off the street, but nobody in the Trump administration, the heads of it, a la Epstein. DOJ filed nearly 100,000 indictments, $96 million paid last month to families of fallen officers. So there you go, giant police state. Isn't it so wonderful? Here's a lying Energy Secretary Chris Wright. One of the most blatant lies we've ever heard. Data centers are pushing energy costs up. That is not a matter of debate. It's a fact. More Perfect Union posted. Here's lying Energy Secretary Chris Wright saying that on the War Channel, Fox News, that data centers are the greatest tool we have right now to stop the rise of electricity prices. Satanic inversion of reality, just straight up flip it upside down. Well, MAGA are retards anyway, so I'll just say the exact opposite of what's true. Here he is.
And of course, unfortunately, Governor Hochul has it exactly backwards. Data centers are the greatest tool we have right now to stop the rise of electricity prices and ultimately to bring them back down. It's the Democrat green.
It's the Democrats. You see, it's not technocracy. It's the Democrats. It's not a scientific dictatorship they're building out here. The greater North America technate, it's the Democrats. And data centers cause your electricity bill to go down too. Data centers to add billions in power costs in 13 states. The failing New York Times post. A power auction conducted by a giant grid operator is expected to add $6.3 billion in additional charges to consumers and businesses because of electricity needs of data centers. But Energy Secretary just went on Fox News and told me it's good and it's decreasing. It's decreasing the cost of electricity. They just blatantly lie Orwellian style right in your face. That is the Trump administration. A Pennsylvania, and it's all of them, the entire government, okay? A Pennsylvania state senator and chair, but hey, as long as they keep getting you looking that way, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, they build out the scientific dictatorship and laugh in everybody's face and tell blatant, easily provable lies to everybody as well. A Pennsylvania state senator and chair of the state's GOP profited from the $30 million property sale to a data center developer. Republican Greg Rotham's constituents are outraged he made money off the data center project they've been openly opposing. Well, you get into public service to profiteer and screw everybody over, your constituents. That's America democracy. Rotham declined to say how much money he was paid after the real estate company he chairs collected a fee from the sale. All insider dealings. They're the good people. They're the smartest guys in the room. Everything's rigged. Have fun trying to put food on your table. This level of corruption is not sustainable. And they're corrupting, when you're corrupting Joe Blow on the ground, society will collapse. If everybody is an evil, greedy asshole, all the way up to our representatives. More greed from big tech corporations who are forcing people out of their homes. They're seizing people's land via eminent domain. Let's watch this clip. Who cares? You know what I mean? Your power costs are going down because of these data centers, according to Energy Secretary, lying criminal Chris Wright.
To us, it's theft. It's literally a $1 billion company stealing land from smaller people. And to say that you're doing it in the name of data centers is a slap in the face to us.
This family was forced to sell their home to help power AI data centers. Ainsley Brown's family was forced to sell her childhood home to utility company Georgia Power. If they hadn't, the company would have taken it from them via eminent domain. This is because Georgia Power is building a transmission line to help power new data centers in the area. This requires adding over 300 parcels of land. And this isn't the only family whose property is being taken by Georgia Power. Claudia Moore and her husband will lose the woods behind their house. Cynthia Van Epps is losing her backyard pool. And then there are the countless others that have lost their entire homes. Georgia Power is refusing to share what companies are behind the new data centers to protect their safety. What's happening in Georgia follows a nationwide trend of companies taking people's land in order to support data centers. Most recently, a woman in Virginia is fighting against a power pole taller than the Statue of Liberty being forced onto her property. AI data centers have caused our electric bills to skyrocket, they've stolen our water, and now they're taking our homes. Life necessities are being taken from us to power these things.
Next up, your firstborn will be used as a battery to power these data centers, a la the Matrix. I had a couple more reports. Due to the interest of time, we'll move on here. On to, Benjamin Black, Chief Executive Officer of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. He's all up in the Epstein files. I don't think we have time to play it. How long is this? We don't have time. Anyway, I'll post the links. White House posted this earlier today. This guy is a psychopath, and he's all up in the Epstein files and has no business in the government whatsoever. Todd Blanche is trying to be confirmed as Attorney General. He's Trump's personal attorney. Todd Blanche won't meet with Epstein survivors, but he did meet with Ghislaine Maxwell for 6 hours, concerned. Here's a Democrat Congresswoman Ansari on the House Oversight Committee.
I'm just leaving the confirmation hearing for Todd Blanche. We're here in the Senate Hart Building. Todd Blanche is Donald Trump's former personal attorney, and he is being considered for the most important law enforcement job in the country. And let's not forget that Todd Blanche is the one who is at the center of the Epstein files cover-up. He actually directed it. He has failed to release the entirety of the Epstein files. He is responsible for putting out information about survivors, which is in blatant violation of the law. He is responsible for the slush fund for those who partook in January 6th and were insurrectionists. I urge the Senate to vote no. This would be a catastrophic mistake to confirm Todd Blanche as Attorney General, and it is corruption at the highest levels of the United States government.
Todd Blanche won't be the country's lawyer. House Democrats say he'll be Trump's lawyer. Here he is admitting as much today in his Senate confirmation hearing.
Are you and President Trump friends?
I'm his lawyer, was his lawyer, and now I'm the Deputy Attorney General. So I met him as his criminal defense attorney.
Said I'm his lawyer. Todd Blanche is lying. House Oversight Democrats say the DOJ still not releasing the Epstein files as required by law, the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
I want to make sure the American people know that this administration, when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, has been more transparent than any past administration, than Biden was or anybody else.
They had to pass a law, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and they're still violating that law. They're not willfully transparent whatsoever. Here's Mr. Technocracy, J.D. Vance on Rogan Show, talking about the Epstein files.
Dude knew everybody. He knew everybody. So, look.
So where did his money come from?
Well, from given part of it is suspect tax advice and setting up tax schemes for a lot of very, very rich people.
Right, but why was
and
he motivated to influence academia, and what was the purpose?
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I have theories. There's of course
Well, most people think he was Mossad.
Yeah, Mossad or CIA or some other deep state, whether in America or Israel or another.
Telling you they're using all that as cover. He's a Rothschild super spy. Where did he get his money? Rothschilds. A bunch of other schemes, scams, and rackets as well. He won the New Mexico State Lottery, $80 million, or his trust, Zorro, and he won it again. I forget how much he won it. He won it twice. His trust won the New Mexico State Lottery, 80 million in one, and I forget the other one. But yeah. And there's a bunch more I got there I can't cover due to the interest of time, because we still have a lot more to cover in the economic section. I'll post all the links. Let's hope Todd Blanche doesn't get confirmed by the Senate as Attorney General here now. Tragically enough, it appears that the corruption just never ends. It literally never ends. The DOJ right now, that Todd Blanche is acting Attorney General for, is actively blocking the state of New Mexico's Justice Department access to documents and other resources for their investigation into Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. They're actively covering up the Epstein files on many different fronts here now, doxing victims, putting out naked pictures of victims, playing games with all the redactions, putting documents out, pulling them back, putting them out again. And again, blocking the state of New Mexico investigation into Epstein's Zorro Ranch. It's almost like the DOJ are Epstein Maxwell representatives at this point. You could say that much. That's certainly the way they're acting. And as Trump's personal attorney to go ahead and continue the cover up. On to the economic section of the show here now. Iran, and they did the first round, they did bomb a little bit of some technocracy sites there in West Asia. This time around, they say Iran will consider all of Elon Musk's companies in the Middle East, including SpaceX, Starlink, internet service, as military targets. As they should. I mean, from a war perspective, SpaceX is a military industrial complex company. Part of technocracy. Here's lying Trump. And he's used it before on affordability. It's so stupid. It's called inflation.
Office. And they said, affordability. They go, that's a fake word that they use. They caused the affordability problem. It's called high prices. They came up with this word.
They caused it. It was Biden. No, Operation Warp Speed, you shut down the entire economy and did giant bailouts. You caused it, Trump. Biden didn't help. I'm sure 100 or was it 1.5 trillion for the military. That'll help. Trump administration is corrupt as the day is long. FCC officials took pricey gifts from Paramount as the company needed approval for its billion-dollar merger deal there now. Report out of ProPublica. Expensive gifts. Despite regulating broadcast media, FCC commissioners have accepted pricey tickets to the Kennedy Center's Honors Gala from ZBS or its parent company, now Paramount, now the IDF, you could just say, via Ellison's son, an old man, Larry Ellison of Oracle, of InQtel CIA fame, is the largest individual donor to the IDF. That same Ellison, yeah. Conflict of interest ethics experts say that by accepting the gifts, FCC commissioners are compromising the agency's impartiality and should avoid acting on Paramount's pending merger, mixing business and pleasure after voting for a Paramount merger. Commissioner Olivia Trusty, I like that last name. They're literally lying criminals. They're like, my last name's Trusty. Trust me. Trust me that I'm going to F you, American people, over. Commissioner Olivia Trusty, that's really her name, took tickets worth over $12,000. I'd say way overvalued. We covered yesterday a StubHub ticket. I don't even think you get the tickets that way, but StubHub ticket scalping racketeering operation. Anyhow, continuing here, she took tickets worth over $12,000. FCC chair Brandon Carr has accepted tickets worth at least $63,000. And they're arguing these criminals should have ethics. Ethics are conspiracy theory, and you go into public service to steal and lie to the public as much as humanly possible, as has been established by this show, Weaponized News. Continuing here. The FCC signaled it will repeal the cap on ownership of TV stations, abolishing a limit that keeps owners from controlling stations in more than 39% of markets. This move will allow Nexstar, one of the largest owners of TV stations, to buy rival TGena in a massive deal. So we do appreciate the further consolidation of our media. I think it's 5 corporations now control over 90% of your Mockingbird media out there. One of the biggest, here's Trump. One of the biggest driving forces in the future for jobs are data centers. There are big, strong, bold, they are big, strong, bold, and money machines for the state in which they are built. And so it's straight up bullshit. They're building scientific dictatorship, technocracy, the greater North America. Understand that, know it. JP Morgan Chase, CEO Jamie Dimon. It's at a Philadelphia Navy shipbuilding yard here.
We're sitting at the Philadelphia Navy Yard where we build ships. They built ships here that won the Revolutionary War, that helped win World War II. And so now you have this, the arsenal of democracy has been reignited, and shipbuilding, people said couldn't happen. But here you have Hanwha Shipbuilding at the Philadelphia Navy Yard, which is going to be building components for nuclear submarines.
The arsenal of democracy is war profiteering. All wars are bankers' wars. Just like war is a racket. Biden and failed Democrats handed this administration an economic mess with massive inflation and soaring prices, the White House posted earlier today. Trump is part of this economic mess. Again, Operation Warp Speed. Need I say more? It's like having ethics are conspiracy theory. Reading is a conspiracy theory. Having a memory is a conspiracy theory to these lying criminals. Wall Street expert says a massive stock market crash is coming, and this tech company will be the first domino to fall. Report out of the Daily Mail. A terrifying warning has sent shockwaves through Wall Street as financial experts warn that a stock market crash is looming on the horizon. At the eye of the hurricane is big tech giant Oracle, which veteran financial analyst David Desjardins fears will be the first domino to fall in a brutal tech market collapse. The company's stock has already taken a massive beating, with shares of Oracle down almost 50% since the beginning of June as panicked investors rush for the exits. Remember at the beginning of Trump's administration, they had a big old press conference. Operation Stargate was going to be launched with Larry Ellison out of Oracle. Remember all that? So don't you feel bad that the CIA is losing value of its Oracle stock? Breaks my heart, I tell you. And so there's no shame in Trump's megalomania narcissism. As America commemorates 250 years of independence, the U.S. Mint will begin striking this new $1 gold coin to honor the enduring legacy of liberty and a lasting symbol of patriotism. Featuring President Trump, it celebrates the strength of American values and the promise of a nation dedicated to preserving freedom for all. That was supposed to byline criminal Secretary of State or Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent. Here it is. The Trump gold coin. Trump he's cementing his legacy of corruption as we speak. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey warns that the fallout from an AI bubble bursting would reach the UK economy and could prompt a response in interest rates. Warren Buffett on the markets, he says, since humans love to gamble so much, there's more money in actually cultivating gamblers than there is in cultivating investors. Sad but true. I'd have to agree with them there. JP Morgan Chase, BlackRock, and Goldman Sachs joined 50-firm DTCC pilot to tokenize Russell 1000 stocks, according to the U.S. Treasury. A report out of the Wall Street Journal. And we've reported on this. They've told us. Larry Finkelstein, a bunch of them have said they're going to tokenize every asset you have. You'll own nothing and be happy. I don't know how happy you'll be, but you'll own nothing. 9.16 million U.S. borrowers, nearly 20% of the 43 million Americans with federal student loan debt are in default, according to Yahoo Finance. Iran's IRGC says as long as the U.S. stays in the region, not a drop of oil and gas will be exported from the region. Again, engineered energy crisis, engineered famine by design, Operation Lockstep. All of these governments at the top level working together through secret societies to go about getting to that, was it 500 million that used to be on the Georgia Guidestones, if you can remember back that far in our history. Amazon is price fixing. More Perfect Union put out a good video. We don't have time for it, but they put out a good video breaking it down. Amazon has a scheme to offer the lowest prices by raising prices everywhere else. If a vendor offers a lower price elsewhere, Amazon allegedly forces them to raise it, making you pay more than you should. And they do an investigation here. We uncovered Amazon setting prices at Walmart and Target. All of it highly illegal, price fixing, racketeering, technocracy. War is a business model. Let's watch this short clip breaking it down from Rick Sanchez.
Bankers are in on this big time, right? They're really called venture capitalists because that's really what they are. They're investors. They're not regular bankers like where you and I might keep our money. These are investment bankers, right? And in recent years, some of the biggest hawks, the biggest pro-war names and companies have all become venture capitalists, right? I started noticing this. And by the way, they also fund the politicians and they also fund the media, right? I noticed this was taking off in Europe, where companies like BlackRock, for example, seem to own the politicians because, well, hell, they put them there. You know, a lot of these politicians work for BlackRock, and then one day they're prime minister of a country, or the president of a country, or chancellor of a country. You know, or they just, these guys have so much money they can buy them. They can buy the politicians and put them there. Take the case, for example, of the German chancellor, Friedrich Merz. He seems to be more interested in serving BlackRock than taking care of his own people.
Sure he is. Sure he is. And we'll never solve this corruption problem until we have sound money. As long as we have fiat debt-based monetary system that are allowed to print money at will, they can buy off and corrupt any politician. And they've done a great job in corrupting much of society through this corrupt monetary system we're under. Cost of U.S. war on Iran far exceeds initial Pentagon public estimate. The U.S. war on Iran could cost more than triple the latest public estimate of roughly $30 billion. That number is literally laughable at this point. NBC News reported citing 3 U.S. officials and 3 people familiar with internal cost assessments. But who cares? The Pentagon doesn't have to pass a financial audit. They can't even, because they don't even keep books half the time. The auditor said your books are unauditable. While the U.S. Department of War has publicly placed the war's cost at around $30 billion, internal assessments estimate the true total cost at between $80 billion and $100 billion, according to this latest report out of NBC News. Let's hear now another report here now about the $1 billion U.S. defense systems versus $20,000 Iranian Shahed drones. Here's Rick Sanchez with Ben Swan. Short clip here.
We're going to run out of weaponry because we just don't have it. Because we've used it all in Ukraine and used it in other places, right?
We gave it all away. We literally gave it all away. And the thing is that the scam, and you know this quite well, the scam that military contractors have run on this country for decades has been the idea that they charge these incredible amounts of money for such a small number of products, right? They're charging us $500 million for a radar plane, $1 billion for a THAAD radar system. And so, you know, when you're spending millions to build a few Patriot interceptors, when you're spending millions to create these weapons, and the Iranians are turning out $8,000, $12,000, $20,000 Shahed drones, that's a game you cannot win. We're so far behind. But the bigger problem is this. The Iranians know, and you know this too, time is on their side. It is not on Trump's side.
Right.
There's a midterm coming. This is the most unpopular war at its outset in U.S. history. And the idea of putting boots on the ground will, I mean, if Trump wants to guarantee losing the midterms, the House and the Senate, put boots on the ground in Iran. That's the number one way you're.
I agree. They're going to lose anyway because of the economy and their never-ending lies and the war. But think of it. We've reported on this cheap $1 million U.S. missiles to take down a $20,000 Iranian drone. So we've learned Iran has good accountants and America at the Pentagon, bad accountants. They can't account. They don't even keep books, for God's sake. They can't pass a financial audit. But yet they want $1.5 trillion to flush down a black hole and buy another bunch of $1 million missiles to shoot down $20,000 Iranian drones. But they tell us they're working on efficiency and maximizing lethality at the Department of War. We'll get to some of that here in a second. The price of a gallon of gasoline is going up again, surprisingly enough, according to AAA. According to AAA, the cost of a gallon of gasoline on average across the country is now up to $3.89. That's up, 3 cents from yesterday? You could see right there, rounding a little bit. It was $3.86 yesterday, $3.89 today. And it's going to go up again tomorrow as well, as the Rockefeller oil oligarchs continue to price gouge the American people. But don't you worry, Trump says they're investigating it at the corrupt Department of Justice. Let's take a look here now. They're not doing good on this tracker, but we just read the report from NBC News. They're saying like 80 to 100 billion so far. According to Brown University, the Watson School of International and Public Affairs, we'll take a look at this. We may have to, they got to increase the data here now. But according to them, they say total consumer cost burden since the beginning of the war, the Iranian war that started on February 28, 2026, is up to $69.1 billion. And you could see the cost per U.S. household spread across both gasoline and diesel is up to $527.50. You can see right there. As the war rages on, Strait of Hormuz to remain closed until U.S. ends acts of aggression against Iran. IRIB confirmed that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed to maritime traffic, with the IRGC vowing to maintain the blockade until the United States ends its acts of aggression. Again, America and Iran are both standing there with guns at the Strait of Hormuz. There's a blockade. We'll shoot you in the face. You go by here. Essentially, traffic stopped. Nobody wants to get shot in the face and risk it. You deal with Iran, America shoots you in the face. You deal with America, Iran shoots you in the face. U.S.-Iraq finalized major energy deal during Zayed's first visit to Washington. We covered this yesterday a little bit, but this guy's totally sold out Iraq, right? He's a U.S. puppet, obviously. U.S.-Iraqi officials are set to conclude a major energy deal as part of Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zayed's visit to Washington this week, according to Iraqi officials. Cited it in an AP article. So more profiteering for Rockefeller oil oligarchs as our gasoline increases in price. And that's all you want out of America. Treasury Department today issuing more sanctions on Iranians. Treasury Department says today, following Iran's attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, the Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control sanctioned targets involved in international networks supporting weapons procurement efforts on behalf of the IRGC. U.S. grants UAE privileged access to advanced AI tech as a reward for supporting war on Iran. And by the way, they're supporting genocide in Sudan as well. America loves that. We looked the other way. Probably we're supporting it. We'll find out down the road. But we do know from much reporting that UAE is propping up the rebel armies there in Sudan, massacring many civilians. We do appreciate the genocidal efforts of the UAE, handsomely rewarded by Pax Silica. Let's take a look here now. We reported on it, and apologies for missing this. We cover a lot of friggin' news here at Weaponized News. Apologies for missing this. This report came out today from the Cradle, but we'll take a look at a press release from America. What the heck are they called? They're called from the State Department. Pax Silica Summit happened like 3 weeks ago. Apologies for missing that. Back to this report from the Cradle. The U.S. Department of Commerce announced July 10th that the UAE has been granted expanded access to advanced AI technology as recognition for joining Washington and Aardvarkland's war of aggression against Iran. As such, Abu Dhabi and authorized Emirati companies can now buy technology, including military equipment and dual-use items for civilian nuclear energy without a license, a privilege not available to other U.S. allies such as Aardvarkland or Saudi Arabia. The Department of Commerce said this upgrade was granted in recognition of the UAE's support in advancing U.S. national security interests, including Operation Epic Fury. In the initial phase of the Iran war earlier this year, Abu Dhabi carried out dozens of airstrikes even before facing Iranian missile retaliation. The monarchy also intercepted hundreds of Iranian missiles and played a role in maintaining commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE will now be treated on par with South Korea, India, and several European allies when it comes to obtaining sensitive U.S. technologies with possible military uses. I don't know what could go wrong. Crazy Muslims that you say, oh my God, what happens when, well, we'll have to bomb them because they're going to nuke us in 2 weeks down the road. Don't you worry about that, I'm sure. Continuing here, among the beneficiaries of this upgrade in relations are Emirati AI firm G42, which can buy advanced chips from NVIDIA without lengthy export licensing, and U.S. tech giants Microsoft and OpenAI, which plan to build major data centers in the UAE, i.e., scientific dictatorship, technocracy, one world government. Although Emirati officials have unsuccessfully lobbied for years for greater access to U.S. AI technology, they reportedly approached the White House directly after the war on Iran began, emphasizing their participation demonstrated their importance as a strategic ally. Nonetheless, the decision has stirred controversy in Washington as G42 is controlled by UAE National Security Advisor Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Does he have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names? A major business partner of the Trump family. Shocking, I know. Insider dealing corruption by Trump. Abu Dhabi's upgrade comes as Washington further consolidates its influence over global AI supply chain via Pax Silica initiative. And we covered it when they first did this. When did this first come out? Oh, this is a new one, actually. But we did cover it. I did notice it when it first came out. Bureau of Industry and Security they put out a bunch of press releases. It was launched last year, December. Pax Silica seeks to dominate the AI economy by tightly managing its supply chains, including raw materials. Well, nothing goes through the Strait of Hormuz. It's closed. So good job. You're managing it very tightly there. Shipping routes, data transmission, and chip manufacturing. Signatories to Pax Silica, Signatories include Aardvarkland, Qatar, UAE, India, Argentina, Chile, the EU, Japan, South Korea, UK, Australia, and dozens of others. The United States and the Philippines launched plans for 4,000-acre economic security zones to shore up supply chains. First AI native industrial acceleration hub under Pax Silica. And that's a press release put out. Silica, excuse me. I don't know why I want to say silicona because it's a giant con job, probably. Freudian slip there. Pax Silica. And that's a press release from U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. The initiative is primarily intended to limit China's control of AI supply chain. U.S. officials have openly stated that Pax Silica is designed to block the Belt and Road Initiative. We got to do all this for the AI Cold War with China, but we're helping China in the AI Cold War against China. Funny how that works, isn't it? And they put out a press release here. I'll link to it out of the State Department. Pax Silica Summit. And again, apologies, I missed this. This was like 3 weeks ago, June 26, 2026. And they go through here and lay it all out. Launched under Secretary of Economic Affairs Jacob Hellberg in December 2025. Pax Silica is the Department of State's flagship effort on artificial intelligence and supply chain security. The initiative aims to build new economic security consensus among allies and trusted partners to advance secure, prosperous, and innovative supply chains spanning critical minerals, energy inputs, advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, AI, and technology infrastructure. Those interested, search outcomes of the second Pax Silica Summit, and I'm sure you can find it. I'll link to it at Weaponized News, and you can read the full press release there. We give you the summary. Russia, Ukraine, man, not looking good. They're bombing the hell out of each other. Russia intercepts Western AI drone smuggled for deep strikes. FSB says it sees the cache of drones, smuggled across Russia in appliance trailers to be used for strikes on remote military bases in the Ural Mountains and the Far East. Remember, what was that? Operation Spiderweb, if my memory serves correctly, where Ukraine had smuggled a bunch of these mobile drone units inside Russia and launched attacks. What was that, like 6-8 months ago, something like this? Operation Spiderweb, if you can remember that. And so that this report reminded me of that. It's ongoing. The war there is horrific. It needs to stop. It is quite horrific. Part of the engineered energy crisis, Ukraine heavily targeting Russian energy infrastructure, blowing up their petroleum manufacturing facilities right and left, as we continue to cover here now. Ukraine killed the chief engineer of the Russian-controlled Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in a drone strike on his vehicle. Rostom confirmed Alexander Yankolev and his driver were both killed. Russia said it was a deliberate act of terrorism by the Kiev regime and said they will retaliate. And so now they're doing back and forth car bombings, drone strikes, targeted assassinations, as has been ongoing in this war, Russia-Ukraine war. Fedorov steps down as Ukraine's war minister. Kiev's government reshuffle has brought an end to Fedorov's tenure as Ukraine's war minister, concluding the service of one of the country's most prominent technology-focused reformers. And yeah, Russia's bombing the hell out of Kiev. There's video of it night, and there's giant explosions going off. I don't know if we even need to show the video. It's ongoing. It's quite horrific and needs to stop. Okay, there's a quasi-secret, which is not secret if anybody cared to go look. I don't see much reporting on it. War on drugs, which is part of building out the Greater North America Project, i.e. our section of one world government, our region of it here in America. And so U.S. Southern Command here now, they say they're constantly doing operations in Mexico, Central, and South America. They say partnerships in action for Western Hemisphere security. And here they're talking about doing aerial drills with Chile. America's counter cartel coalition in action, working alongside regional allies. U.S. and Ecuadorian maritime forces patrol critical corridors in the northeastern region to deny narco-terrorist organizations freedom of maneuver. That's right, because the U.S. government are the big drug contraband traffickers, and any independents out there, cartels or whoever the hell else, is going to get blown up, you see. Historic blow to maritime drug trafficking here now. Coast Guard, they don't just whack them, they pull them over at least. They claim they did a big bust here off Costa Rica coast. Well, they say 597 kilograms of liquid cocaine in 11 containers, 113 kilograms of cocaine packages. They arrested 4 Costa Rican crew members. That's what you're supposed to do. They're facing up to 20 years in jail for international drug smuggling. That's what you would expect. Here's the seized drugs, allegedly. Right there. So that's what you're supposed to do, allegedly, if all this is above the board. You don't do the extrajudicial assassinations and say, as U.S. Southern Command has done, we've documented, I can't even remember, over 100 now, right? I can't even remember the number. Anyway, they've done all these murders claiming they were narco drug trafficking terrorists. You're supposed to at least arrest them and have some evidence to prove the claim you're making that there's these narco drug trafficking criminals instead of just whacking them. What are they doing here? They're bringing back regional support, regional security, world renowned for its expertise. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has a deep legacy of partnering with nations in Latin America and overthrowing their governments. Oh, they left that part out. So now they're working in Guatemala to modernize Guatemalan railway system. Well, I don't know. Would they load up dissidents in the back of a train car? Have we seen that? No, that could never happen. Well, they're working on Guatemalan railway right now, the Army Corps of Engineers. Ecuador and the United States strike crime routes, they tell us. There you go. U.S. Southcom working with Ecuador to get those dirty drug traffickers. Senior defense officials looking at Cuba military operations. ZBS News reports. As the Iran war restarts following the collapse of last week's MOU, military planners have in recent weeks examined a range of options for possible action against Cuba, including an Army-led air assault involving thousands of U.S. soldiers to be carried out by the 101st Airborne Division, the only unit trained for such a task, according to multiple U.S. officials. They said, little Marco, Trump, a bunch of them have said it a bunch of times. Cuba's next. Cuba's next. So Trump not shy about naked U.S. imperialism building out the Greater North America Project. Not shy about it at all. What do you do with a drunken Hegseth? Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the high T Department of War. We're talking about giving soldiers testosterone supplements.
At the Department of War, we have the most elite warriors on the face of the earth. Every single day, you are pushed to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms. We demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems, platforms, and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage, which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop. Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters age 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment. It's a health assessment that happens every year. We're just adding this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone
Replacement therapy. It's your choice until it isn't. Again, experimenting on U.S. military as per usual. Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan King, said, we've got defense CEOs, tech pioneers, capital allocators, investors, military officers, and the way I think about this is the three amigos of America's defense: funders, founders, and fighters. Meme of the days out of the Department of War here now. Ushering in the era of defense innovation, they tell us. President Trump is equipping U.S. forces to deter global threats, protect sovereignty and the homeland, and keep America the world's most advanced military, they tell us here now. Out of the Department of War. We have some more memes of the day from the Department of War. I think we did here. We had Undersecretary Michael. I do realize we're past the 2-hour mark here and I have some errands to run. Let me continue here. We'll skip ahead. Let me just find you a meme of the day. I skipped a bunch because we had so much news. The links will be at Weaponized News Substack. Let me give you a meme of the day here. Another one out of the Department of War. And then we'll move on. Well, here you go. Stay locked in, patriots. They keep pumping this QAnon propaganda with AI memes. Stay locked in, patriots, to the never-ending war. Kill Trump. Massive Trump and coffin mural in Tehran's iconic Inqilab Square. Here it is. I put an image of it on the thumbnail for today's show, but here's an up close, better view of it. A poster of horned Lindsey Graham on a gravestone reading, "Your dream of victory will be buried with you," is also displayed nearby. Yeah, they're kind of pissed off at Trump. He whacked their supreme leader, Khomeini, like over 50 of their top government dudes. So, yeah, they're pretty pissed off. And we just saw, what was it, estimated 40+ million mourners for old man Khomeini when they did the 4 or 5 day funeral procession through Iran and Iraq. There's a lot of pissed off Muslims. A lot of pissed off Muslims. And Trump's building his ballroom bunker. The rest, Finland, we reported yesterday, they have underground bunkers for their population. Here in America, we have nothing. We have lying energy secretaries that tell us data centers lower electricity costs. Lying Trump, there's no inflation. Lying Federal Reserve. It's just, we have nothing. They've done the job of stirring up millions, tens of millions of pissed off Muslims now. We have no defense. You're on your own here in America. Be aware. Be aware. And all the red flags. There's all these pissed off Muslims at Khomeini funeral. We showed you the videos waving these red flags, a red flag of vengeance. Thanks a lot, Trump. Aardvark Land continues the demolition campaign on Lebanon. It's ongoing here now. Reports indicate that Aardvark Land has deployed suspected white phosphorus munitions there in southern Lebanon. That's a report out of the Cradle. They have some video of it. It's kind of hard to tell from the video. Obviously, they have to go test and to 100% confirm it. It's been confirmed. They have previously used white phosphorus, a war crime there in southern Lebanon. It would not surprise me at all if this report is 100% accurate. I'll show you the video, see what you think. Is this white phosphorus being used there in southern Lebanon a straight up war crime? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, right? They are leveling the place, whatever they hit them with. Here's more images. Southern Lebanon, ongoing demolition campaign. Tragically enough, there it continues. And you're like, Sam, but they're still whacking the Palestinians, right? Oh, yeah, the genocide there continues. Killing during the day, bombing during the night. Aardvark land forces issued fresh evacuation orders across central Gaza on Wednesday night, tonight. There's a time difference, obviously. Followed by some of the heaviest airstrikes of the day, according to Gaza Relief Committee coordinator. An entire residential block in the Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza was ordered to evacuate and then hit with heavy bombs, while other evacuation warnings were issued in central Gaza. Tonight is incredibly difficult. Amawai, and who's that guy? He's a refugee camp director. Said tonight is incredibly difficult. He said, sharing footage while the bombardment striking the refugee camp. Moments later, he described the pattern of Gaza's daily reality: killing during the day and heavy bombardment at night to level residential areas and force families to flee in search of safety once again. They're bombing refugees in tents on the Gaza Strip. Video of it.
استهداف الآن في مخيم النصيرات.
Not much out of it. You can't get much out of it. You could see they bombed them at night from a cell phone video there. Tragically enough, since the ceasefire on Gaza on October 11th last year, the Gaza Ministry of Health said 1,123 Palestinians have been killed. Civilians, mind you. 3,616 wounded. 800 bodies recovered from the rubble. The cumulative total since the genocide started on October 7th, 2023 is now up to 73,246 Palestinians killed, 173,727 wounded, according to Gaza Ministry of Health. Aardvark land occupation forces demolish residential and commercial structures in the occupied West Bank. Here's some images of that. It's ongoing. They're taking all of that land as we continue to report. Greater Aardvark Land Project. Here's some images of the ongoing demolition campaign. They're leveling the place for the ultra-Zionist settlers to move in. If you say something, this guy shoots you in the face. And he might just shoot you in, and probably will just shoot you in the face for the hell of it. That's their thing, killing Palestinians. Tragically enough, the genocide there continues. That's all the reporting I have for today. Thank you, everybody, joining us. Let's see the latest from Iran International headlines, and we'll get out of here. Let's pray for peace. It's horrific. It really is quite horrific. Iran International headlines. CENTCOM says U.S. forces complete latest strikes against Iran. We hit them with 2 major bombing campaigns today. IRGC says it targeted U.S. radar in Kuwait. Troops in Iraq. CENTCOM says U.S. forces complete latest round of U.S. bombing campaign. Iran state-run media says air defenses shot down U.S. MQ-9 drone. Iraq's governments change, but Iran influence remains, U.S. lawmakers say. They have all these militia groups there in Iraq, part of the Iranian proxy army force. And then, of course, they have the different factions of Muslims fighting amongst themselves, the Shias, the Sunnis, and all these other spin-off groups. All right, let's check on the latest headlines out of Al Jazeera, and we'll get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this tragic Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. It appears the Iran war is only intensifying. Same headlines basically out of Al Jazeera. U.S. bombs Iran and disables Iranian oil tanker. Sirens in Bahrain and Kuwait. Maybe Iran won't have to worry about building its country around our bases if they blow them all up. Just saying. Iranian doctor says U.S. strikes damaged children's cancer hospital. Surprised they didn't just blow the whole thing up. You know what I mean? Probably coming tomorrow. IRGC claims attack on U.S. forces at Kuwait's Ali Al Salem base. Lebanese army does not want to work directly with Aardvark clan. Shocking. And Aardvark clan returns body of missing Lebanese soldier. Well, that's very good of them. They're building the goodwill, returning the Lebanese soldier they killed. Well, and by the way, I had it going through my head when we were on the Strait of Hormuz section, and U.S. Mr. America, we're the good guys. We killed 3 Indians. That was like, everybody forgets about that. America killed 3 Indians that have nothing to do with nothing. You know what I mean? They're just trying to ship some goods through the Strait of Hormuz. We whacked them like last month. We're just like, whatever. Dead Indian. We're the good guys, America. It's truly incredible. It is truly incredible. The level of malice and evil coming out of the Trump administration and the Department of War. It's truly heartbreaking. It truly is. And all this is going to come back home. I see the comments. I see the wisecracks and all this. Who cares? Another dead. We love dead terrorists. We love the dead Muslims all over the place, right? It's going to come back here. Understand that. Know that. And the draft is going to start up, or at least automatic registration for selective service at the end of this year. Probably idiot American. Oh, your sons and daughters went and died in another illegal foreign war of aggression. They'll probably cheer that on too. America's soul is corrupt. I am very concerned about this. Very concerned, as you should be. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for peace. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Okay, over to the channels. Let's see if anyone is tuning in on the Odysee today. And is there any chat over there? Let's take a look. Shout out to those tuning in on the Odysee. Thank you for tuning in and chatting it up. I do see Fat Bob. Thank you for tuning in, Fat Bob. Shout out to Danger. Fat Bob was Danger say tax schemes, aka now I missed it. It jumped. Let's see. Fat Bob says we know he will be confirmed. He's talking about Blanche. Let's see. Fat Bob says this is what emboldens Scientology to do the same to their rape victim, Sam. Victimize the victim for decades. Danny Masterson cases. Boom. Yeah. Bondi was bought by Scientology to always look the other way for their child human trafficking sex cult. To me, Trump administration maniacal callousness is based upon the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard. Want to go free? Become a lawless criminal. Some good insights there from Fat Bob on the Odysee. Shout out to John. John says, during Trump's first term, he put the country more than $8 trillion further in debt. He was surrounded by a herd of aardvarks in the black hats and clothes. They were grinning as Trump joked about signing a check with a T in the amount for the first time. Some conservative, yeah, he's a great physical. Where there's are no physical conservatives left in the Republican Party. You hear Rand Paul every once in a while, national debt. A couple of them, well, there's national debt, and there's like, oh yeah, more war funding, everything aardvark. It's just like F you criminals, man. Pisses me off to no end. I'm telling you, they're selling us out as we speak, and our children and our grandchildren's future is being sold out by these criminals calling themselves our representatives right now. Fat Bob says Jamie Dimon is in charge of rigging all precious metals markets. Yeah, I don't know if it's him personally, but he definitely knows. It's JP Morgan Chase for sure. But I've also seen reports that Houston Mullins, if you go back to his reporting, Eustace Mullins, if you go back to his reporting, he said that the city of London Rothschilds set the price of gold every day. I don't know. You know what I mean? If it is gold and it's worth $1, it must be microscopic. No, they say it's $1, right? But it's gold bullion essentially, and this one's gonna allegedly have collector numismatic value because it has Trump's face. If you want a giant corrupt asshole, sure MAGA loves it, but yeah. All right, great conversation there, gentlemen. Let's see here. JP Morgan Blythe Masters was lying about that. Fat Bob says price of silver specifically, Sam. Yeah. Are Mullins books still available? I don't know. I have Secrets of the Federal Reserve. And another one, Murder by Injection, I believe. Yeah. And then that reminded me, thinking of Eustace Mullins, now past great researcher, patriot, exposing major parts of this one world government conspiracy a long time ago. Anyhow, that reminded me, now I can't even remember the guy's name. Old reporter has been banging on about the medical corruption. What the heck's his name? Now I can't even remember. Apologies here. John, what the hell? I can't even remember his name. You guys know him. Rappaport. John Rappaport passed away, sadly enough. Bless his soul. Bless his soul, John Rappaport, independent journalist. That has been exposing Rockefeller medicine for as long as I could remember, for a long time. Yeah, Rappaport. Bless his soul. He left us this last week. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's see. Any other comment? John Rappaport, a true heavyweight, indeed. Indeed. We lost a good one there. John says, I need to buy as much diesel as I can store. It may not be available when I need to cut brush on my property. Lubricating oils may be scarce. Yeah. We need to prep, man. Everybody needs to prep now. Start prepping now your essentials. They're shutting this thing down, man. They're engineering an energy crisis, and it will be available. They may ration it. The price is going to be sky high, right? Prepare now. Food, make sure you get clean. You can have the basics, just the basics. I'm not saying build a $1 billion bunker like the assholes that caused all this, but at least some storable food, access to clean drinking water, fuel, oil, basic necessities. As John's talking about there, you know what you need for your own personal operation, your family, your group in your community, in your area. I would highly advise that start going about stockpiling supplies, what you can do now, because all signs point toward this is going into full on world war. We know they're blowing up a bunch of Russia energy production capability. We're going about blowing up Iran's energy production capability all over West Asia, blowing it all up. So, yeah. I should write you an email, Sam, for some advice on some assets. Send me an email, Fat Bob. Send me an email. Let me put up my email. Do I have it here? Here's my email. My email's open. Sam@weaponizednews.com. You can see it right there. It's open for everybody. Send me hate mail if you want, but I'm just trying to say that we can see the writing on the wall, and we have a window right now to take advantage of, and everybody should. I am going to do whatever little bit I can in my own life over here. You know what I mean? And I think everybody should prep as much as you can. But the bare basics, right? Clean drinking water, food, and energy. And energy. No way would I hate mail you unless you stop the Lego videos. All right, Fat Bob, thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate all of your comments and action with the show in the chats. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody on the Odysee, X, BitChute, Substack, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Let's head over to these other chats, see what we picked up today on the YouTube. How in the world are we letting a mayor stay in office who says she's going to abolish the police department? He is clearly trying to destroy us from within. I don't know what that was even about, but Pablo says Trump is your daddy. Really? I'm not into homoerotica, but a lot of MAGA appear to be. Keep bombing them, Pablo says. Pablo, do you understand? You clearly don't. That all of this is going to come back home to roost. It already is. It already is. And we're not going to achieve a regime change in Iran through bombing. I know it's hard for people calling their Trump their daddy to understand these things. The Iranian people are going against the government, and U.S. is helping them get free. They're saying here who are those 40 million plus mourning old man Khomeini? Give me a break. They tried regime change. It failed. That's why we're bombing them now. Please attack 2 Islamic terrorist regime centers in all cities in Islamic Republic of Iran. Wow, we got a lot of warmongers here on the YouTube chat. Pamela on the Rumble says, no, but just searched. It sells at $450 US, totally beyond anything in my spending, but sounds heavenly. Oh, they're talking amongst themselves. Apologies there. Let's see here. Finish the job once and for all and get rid of them shits forever. We attracted a lot of warmongers apparently in the YouTube chat. Hey, peace, brother. How about that idea? Long live Iran. I guess we had both sides. We had long live Iraners and bomb them into the Stone Agers is the discussion in large part on the YouTube. Oh, here you go. You're an idiot. Oh, and the very shut up. Oh, man. Let's see. Quite a bit of chatting, though. And I guess we had both sides represented. Pro-Iran, against Iran government. Quite a bit. Shout out to A-Dub. I see you there, regular listener. Hey, better late than never. How we doing today? Yeah, shout out to Mac. Let's see. You look like Mr. Rogers. Huh. Is that an insult? I think that's supposed to be an insult. At least you didn't call me Gavin Newsom today. Mel says everybody still has to register for the draft. It's been that way, nothing new. They automatically register. I can't even fight with people that don't research. Okay, we've reported on it. I report every freaking day about this stuff. At the end of this year, they're going to automatically register everyone eligible for selective service. Exactly what I said. Gypsy cops become ICE. Yeah, looks that way. I don't know if they're gypsies, but they're definitely not qualified. Thank God for Trump. Really? Really? Ice baby, they say. He's lied about everything. What are you thankful for? High prices, no mass deportations. That's what you're thankful for? Merging our military with Aardvark land, never-ending war? You're thankful for that? You're some sadistic people. Let me tell you. I still want to know who did Trump supposedly rape. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them in the Epstein files that were reported to the FBI that were never investigated. We've covered it here, painfully so. Ruckus says, I had this same exact theory ever since I decided to become Ruckus. All of our government's waste broken flock cameras is a rare one I can be happy about. Pamela on the Rumble. So are we still at war? Yeah, we're bombing them right now, and they're bombing our bases. Yeah, I'd say we're still at war. Operation Warp Speed made sense. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. An unpayable debt simply won't be paid. It's as simple as that. I agree that it's not going to be paid. they're going to crash the entire system and bring in the whole mark of the beast system. Strong, Bart on the Rumble. Shout out to you guys. $5. Did you give me $5, Strong? I don't know. Strong. If you're still listening on the Rumble, shoot me an email if you ever want to come on Weaponized News and do some financial reporting about cryptos or whatever. I see you posting about it all the time. If you're interested, come on. I'll put you on Weaponized News. We can talk about it. You staying safe from gonorrhea parasite. That's a good one, Randy. Trying to stay safe. Warfighter sounds so cringe. It's all cringe coming out of the Department of War. John Rappaport, people are remembering, yeah. Yep. He was an all-timer, man, fighting Rockefeller medicine for sure, exposing all the corruption for years and years and years. Rest in peace, John Rappaport. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for peace as well. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, and we'll be back here on Thursday, hopefully with Ruckus riding shotgun for more Weaponized News. Pray for peace, and have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow for more Weaponized News.